Only so 14, and we didn't even slow 14 because we shared this. There's no.
Yeah, this was just the open meetings portion. We'll talk about it in the meeting, but like I discussed last time, annually we have to. It's a good time to just kind of look at it, what's getting like, what I was not fast.
Okay.
It's like great job.
Okay, I got Kenny bananas, right?
16.
Well, I don't, he's here, but you don't want to make one for me now, but Kenny, okay.
I gave you what?
Oh, it's my office.
Hey, Ray, do we owe you anything for the donuts or dinner? Do you owe you anything for the donuts?
She didn't want them, she did dinner.
Yeah, that should. Okay. How much do you owe for the donuts? How much are the donuts? You paid for them? No, how much was it?
$13.
$30, that's what you tip for going. We're done.
In that case, I'm gonna look at.
I was gonna say, need a coffee, any tips, something. Thank you for getting donuts in.
Carlos, did you get a copy of the agenda?
I don't have some.
I mean, we just need to do the beginning part, right?
Yeah, and sure, start with this, moment and moment to that.
That way.
Yeah, open it up, just say what they do.
Yeah.
Once it's all done, I'm. One there, and there's one for you.
Oh, if we go from
Yeah.
6 to 8. Well, just do something. If I go, oh, don't come this way. I don't wonder. Okay, are we ready?
So I'm just saying.
No, not today.
Madam Chair.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead.
Before we start the meeting, I have a personal point of privilege. I have to, talk to many about it.
Okay.
No disrespect, and I don't care if I don't get paid about the meeting, it's not about that. So if there's an issue and somebody brings it
I
up.
have the papers to get paid.
No, I'm not gonna vote. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure you can make that decision as the chair, for me, Madam Chair, but
Right,
I will do
well,
my best to.
you gave your time as much, however long it is, so yeah, you
But
can
thank-
get paid, but keep in mind, this is just.
I forgot to bring the signatures.
I know, but if I'm gonna be here, I'll be 100%. It's my point, but unfortunately, an unexpected thing is, and thank you for that time, Madam Chair.
And I would like to call this meeting to order and establish a quorum. Who is our Amanda? Good. Would you do a roll call, please? Sure.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Here.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillo. Present. Secretary Marta Dominguez.
Present.
Trustee Kevin Medina. Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Present.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Here.
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Here.
Okay, that was roll call, and I need the pledge of allegiance. Mr. Padilla, could you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
More than happy to. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I would like to have an approval of the agenda. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda. In a second.
Second.
And, roll call.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillo.
Yes.
Secretary Marta Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina. Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Yeah.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Yes.
Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Yes.
And for the record, trustee Medina is attending a funeral today, was unable to be with us. Next item is the Board of Trustees policies related to Open Meetings Act. Starting from, I think it was 1600.
On the agenda, it's 1700 to 2600. Chair.
Okay, well, would you mind if we go through 1600 and that way, first of all,
Sure.
there aren't any changes anyway, but that way it can be part of the approval and we don't have to go back.
We're not approving anything
I
today.
mean, the consensus.
You know what I would suggest is that we didn't notice it.
We didn't do it?
We didn't notice, we noticed only for 17 through 2600.
Okay, then 1700,
Madam Chair, we could amend, we could amend the policy.
but we would have to add to the agenda.
It's
Got that.
not now.
Not now anyways, but you can only do 1700 through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what if I may, I'll suggest that today is a work session, right? There's no approvals being handled here. There's nothing going on. This will be taken up at the next meeting, and what we can do before the next meeting, because we are within the time, I think, 72 hours. We could add 1600 to it, so we could have a discussion about it there.
Because there isn't anything on 1600 that we need to change.
Oh, okay, we just want to get it,
So
okay,
within the 1600, you want me to add that to the
Yeah.
agenda?
for next meeting.
For the notice on August 12th.
Yes,
Can you make note of that? Policy.
that way it's on there also for everyone
And I'm
to
gonna,
discuss.
I'm gonna put a note on this agenda. For next meeting. So.
Well, and that distinction on the work session that I made, I'll tell you that we'll discuss that because I've kind of highlighted that in these proposed policies. Just by way of background, the last time I was here, we were having an Open Meetings Act orientation, kind of a discussion about just again, a work session, but just kind of a Q&A and discussion. And in that meeting, I had suggested that we also have an annual requirement to approve the notice requirements for Open Meetings Act. And in light of that, we also said, well, let's take a look at the open meetings policies that we have already and see if we can streamline them or if there's anything that needs to be added. So that's what you have in front of you is a packet with red lines that I've suggested to it. I will say that this span of policies, 1700 on, were pretty good. I mean, you guys had a great Open Meetings Act policy as it was. I thought there were some areas that could be clarified. And what you'll see too is there's some redundancy that, you know, I'm reluctant to have redundancies in policies because I think it increases the chances of a conflict, right? If you update one and forget to update the other, now there's a conflict in policy. So
You're saying conflict, and I'm interpreting that as possibly a litigation contrast to one for.
no, sir. No, sir. I just mean that if we're looking at our policies, right, and these are the board policies, this is what we all have to follow. One section may say, let's say, I'm just using this as an example, that's not what it says. One section may say, hey, we want to give 10 days notice for our Open Meetings Act notices, right? And then we forgot that down below, there was another section that discussed a 3-day notice, right? And so there's a conflict in the dates that are required or the time that's required there. Not intentional, but when you have redundancies, if you don't catch everyone, suddenly there's a conflict in the board approved policy. That's it.
Madam Chair, if I may ask a question to Mr. Talia. Being that there's no,
This is a work session, so you don't even have to
I
go
still
through
do
each.
respect Madam Chair though, and.
Thank you.
Reported in practice. Mr. Padilla.
Yes, sir.
Even though this is no public policy and no public business is being discussed, the public still has the right to attend, correct?
Of course,
This is taxpayer money.
this is an open meeting,
Please clarify.
right? And we'll be clear in here when we talk about that.
Thank you.
Anytime we're together as a quorum, technically it's an open meeting. If we're intending to discuss public business or do things like that. You know, what you'll see in here, there is those random times where all of you are attending some celebration or something like that. And we've clarified in here what those are. Those aren't meetings, they're gatherings, right? So if I can, what I propose is we just kind of go page by page. And Madam Chair, as you noted, it starts on 1600. The only reason is because the very beginning of 1700 is at the bottom of that page. There was no revisions to that portion. In fact, the first revisions began actually in 1800. I'm sorry, I could have printed it bigger. So what you saw on the agenda, was the span that we identified that had all the open meeting policies. It does not mean that we went into every one of them and made changes. So the first changes we added was to section 1800, which is at the bottom of page 2 there. And this is to the emergency meetings provision, okay? You'll see there's lined out sections. Those line outs are what was in the policy as it stands today. And what's underlined there, if this was in color to be in red, are my suggested changes. So what I'll read to you is my suggested changes.
The only question I have is university, I think it needs to stay.
Yes, it should have, I'm sorry. Yeah, lost to that was pulled out of,
Please don't, she was a teacher.
I know, just catch me.
No, just an inside.
Well, and that's why this is a work session and we're not approving anything yet, that's an edit item finished to it.
Yes.
But so one of the big changes here, and I think this is important, so I want to explain it to you all, so what I've listed here is an emergency meeting may be called by the board chair. Or a consensus of the board, only in the event of unforeseen circumstances that if not addressed immediately by the board will likely result in injury or damage to persons or property or substantial financial loss to the college. The board will avoid emergency meetings whenever possible. The only real change, most of that is straight out of the statute.
And that's exactly what I put on my notes, it
Right.
has to be in compliance with the ordinance.
Only changes that I have there is that the prior policy really only left it to the board chair to be able to call an
Well,
emergency.
it didn't even say that, it said an emergency meeting may be held
Right,
by who?
and I wanted to make clear that, God forbid, is a situation where the chair can't call a meeting, right?
Or the
Because of emergency, or the vice chair, that a consensus of the board can call a meeting, right? There's circumstances, who knows? And I just want to make sure that that's open up, that we have the opportunity and the ability to do so in our policy.
So, and Mr. Barrios, since we're on that base subject, I mean, I think we should have had one maybe a week ago, but.
Well, I will tell you this on emergency meetings, and I'm sorry to interrupt. It's very narrow, right? Because then we have to talk to the AG afterwards. But go ahead.
Well, the parameters are parameters. And it's stated by you,
Mhm.
stating right there. So that substantial financial loss,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna get into that.
Okay.
But I'm just stating, that is a reason to call. What are, so you say that it should be put into the website as soon as possible.
Mhm.
How soon, once consensus is done? And must it be done in a text group format? So that it's not a rolling forum outside of the university, of the college? And to be, put it back into, to put into, because somebody has to contact somebody.
Right.
And it can be looked at as rolling forum, and it can be interpreted that. So what is the best practice, is what I'm asking.
In the event of an emergency, right? And again, I really stress
Someone
that.
be the chair someday here.
Good. What I'm telling you is this, that in the event of an emergency, it really is not just, hey, you know, something occurred that, you know, now we're out $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. It's not something like that. It's, hey, the building burned down, right? Or, hey, there's a natural disaster occurring. We need to figure this out for how we're gonna deal with this. It's very limited circumstance. In those events, we're not necessarily concerned with the rolling forum because it's an emergency, right? And so that's how so in that sense, if there's, you know, we know that there's impending problems that are gonna affect the school, let's say that, right?
Besides, that's how the executive secretary would be doing the contact.
Right, and then you guys can call each other and say, we need to meet, or go through the president's office, whomever you guys decide to do that, that's okay. Now, when I talk about as soon as possible, right, because that's the portion, notice to the public, an emergency meeting of the board will specify the date, time, and place, and that will be posted on the website as soon as possible. That's presuming that we have the infrastructure able to put that up, right? So if we can't get it on the website because, you know, all the systems are down, let's say that there's a cyber attack, right? Where we've been locked out, you know, we're gonna try to get notice out as any way we can. We gotta just try to make a good faith effort to get the notice out to the people of it. But that's, you know, that's what that is. As soon as possible, we will get it on the website.
And we have 10 days to contact the attorney general.
Yes, after the fact. So,
Is that by phone, by email?
usually we send a letter.
A letter? That's what
Yeah, I've had to do it once or twice. These don't happen a lot, right? But we'll send a letter. I'll work with you guys on
This
that.
is Vegas, baby.
And then another change there, Board of Regents has to be Board of Trustees.
Yes, change that as well.
So thank you, Carlos, for, Carlos, this is gonna sound kind of primitive,
Yeah, but hold it up.
I'm listening.
is there a way for you to get a letter to us without a letterhead, without any signatures on it? Of
Like a form?
not a form, I'm not good with words, I'm not, very educated man as far as words, I watch Jeopardy once in a while, but Like, example, is there one that you could cut off a letterhead, cut off signatures and say, look. Attend, yeah, thank you, sir.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, and I'm using a form in the same way. Yes, I can get you guys a template of what an emergency notice to the Attorney General's would be. Is that what you're
Me
asking?
on the secretary, and then I'll get.
Yeah.
it.
I will
And
get
then
you
we'll
that.
have a discussion in one of the meetings, so we can go over it today, it can all be educated on it, on how we go on the process.
That way you have it in hand.
From here's gonna be the chair, vice chair, whatever.
No, no problem at all. I can get you guys a template on that, okay?
And you also have to specify.
Yeah.
Exactly what an emergency is.
It'll be very
A
generic in
little
that sense.
It's not an emergency.
Right, it'll be very generic in that sense.
I said there has to be a real emergency reason that the college could close or people could be hurt. Those.
And so when you're talking about a template, what I would provide you basically is an introduction explaining that, you know, on this day, we had an emergency session.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be a blank space for us to fill in that information. But yeah, I can do that.
We would use it as a guideline.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
And again, you know, I will stress, in a real emergency, I know you guys have to get together. There's always a conversation to be had though with council as to whether or not it satisfies the requirements, because if we take action in what we've called an emergency meeting, and it's determined after the fact that it was an inappropriate meeting, right? It was not an emergency, and those actions are,
They're
Well, those are
No,
all by the attorney general, he's the only one that can either remove you or reprimand the institution, correct?
Oh, no, I wouldn't go that far. It would just be the actions.
right, so we're not even getting there. What we're talking about is that if after the fact, right, we submit this 10-day notice to the AG and they decide, no, that wasn't a proper emergency, so this meeting wasn't properly noticed, any actions taken in that meeting are void.
No.
So that's why we, like I said, you know, emergencies are very slim circumstances, and I would like to be involved, or whomever counsel you have, be involved in that conversation, okay? So that we can make sure that we dotted our i's and crossed our t's before we start doing those things. Okay, any other questions on that emergency provision order? I've noted those changes, thank you for that. But again, most of this just mirrors the statute, as you've already highlighted. All right, the next section that got changes is on the next page, and I'll go over it quickly because
There was a little bit right here on spectrum.
I don't know,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
we would,
so after the 10 days, under special meetings, it does say when necessary, the chair or a consensus of the board, like we said above, may call a special meeting. And I pulled out to conduct business essential to the success and viability of the institution. We use special meetings for a lot of different things. I don't want to limit it just for the essential, right? That's a term that I think is arguable. What is essential? I will tell you, in my experience as doing public finance, and I was just talking with President Linder about this, there are times that we have resolutions that need to be passed to go out for bonds. And those transactions, sometimes the numbers are changing up until, and a change occurs within the notice period, so we can't change the agenda. Right, but we need to also get it on another timeline, and so in those circumstances, I suggest, okay, we need a special meeting for this, so we can get back to this. What were you saying?
so in the past, we have had a special. Meeting to approve a report, quarterly report
Sure.
of some sort, and.
But not a special meeting, emergency meeting.
Right, that's a different circumstance.
But this is not an emergency special meeting,
No.
correct?
No, these special meetings will still be noticed just like you do any
Yeah,
other
3
meeting.
days.
3 days, yeah, but why would we wanna take out that language, Madam Chair?
No, we don't.
Essential business. He's striking that, that's gonna be.
Oh, you mean
Hold on.
the part that you took out.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
It said,
Cause we've had to because of the influx of work and workers here, Madam Chair.
sure, what I'm saying is that without that language, you have that freedom to do more. When we've limited it just to essential to the success, there's a question as to what's essential, right? Suddenly we could debate, oh, that's not essential, we don't need a special meeting for it. Whereas striking that and just saying, hey, you can call a special meeting, allows you to call a special meeting for various subjects that may not,
this is less specific.
yes, it's less stringent, I would say. So you can call a special meeting for those things.
I just wanna make sure that we're not,
No, I get it,
cause everybody else tried to, just,
delete.
Well, I'm not doing that today, but.
Yeah, so this is, when you think about special meetings, it's less than an emergency, but it's not normal business, right? It's, we need to meet on something else.
The next session,
Mhm.
the
Okay,
next session, the work sessions, I don't have a problem.
it's a great policy. I didn't change it. I think it's good.
Informal gatherings, the only thing I have is that on 13, it says informal gatherings are not to be considered board meetings and therefore do not require that public notice be
Yes.
provided. What we have done in the past is we have said possible
Yes.
notice of forum, so that needs to be there.
You want to add it? That's
I
fine.
think so.
That's fine. And I contemplated putting that in there. It's not a requirement to do that, but I like that we do that.
And sometimes we may not be able to because we can't anticipate that 4 of us.
Showed up somewhere.
In a funeral.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's exactly the example I used. I will add that. I think that's appropriate. And I have language.
not mandatory.
No,
Possible.
but I have language for those types of notices too that explains like, there's no business being conducted here. There's no business being discussed, but we're here for this thing. I will add that. I'm glad that you keyed in on that. That was a consideration of mine last night. I changed the name though to gatherings, obviously, because they're not meetings. That's important. And then the one thing that I took out on 10, if you notice, they include trainings and workshops. We're not, we already talked about work sessions. Those include trainings and workshops. That's not necessarily this, right? All right, the big section, closed meetings. Again, the policy was pretty accurate, but it wasn't as explicit as, we have to conform to FOLA, right, to the Open Meetings Act. And so what I've done here is I've just kind of reformatted it to say that, meetings of the board may be closed according to the procedures set out below, only if the matter to be considered falls within one of the enumerated exceptions defined in this section of OLA. That's basically it, right? There are certain exceptions. Below, you'll see in the strikeouts, there was bulleted circumstances that enumerated those. It was kind of reworded and not specific to what the statute says. It wasn't a direct copy and paste from the statute. And so I worry there that we get into gray area where we're starting to do stuff in closed session because our policy says, oh, well, it says we could do this, but it's not clear as what the statute allows. Okay, so that's the only change there really. And then what you'll see now in the closing an open meeting, this is basically a how-to, so that when we're closing a meeting, so we have executive session on the agenda with the matters listed. This is how we're gonna do it in open meetings, okay? Closing of a meeting shall be done by a majority vote of a quorum of the board during the open meeting with a vote of each member being recorded. So that should kind of be a roll call vote in that circumstance, okay, whenever we close a meeting. The motion shall state the authority of the closure, so that's a statutory provision, and it will be listed on the agenda. That's one thing for the notice provisions that we talk about later on. The agenda will list not only the statutory exception, right? So matters of personnel or matters concerning attorney-client privilege, things like that. But it will also include a description of that. The Attorney General's office and the courts are very specific, as we talked before, that you need to be a little more specific about what's being talked about. You can't just put the exception in. A lot of institutions just list what, oh, this is a personnel matter, and that's all they say, and then nobody knows what personnel matter you're talking about. You gotta be a little more specific about that, and I will help with that. President's office knows how to do it too, but I'm helping to check with that. That's a place where we get caught up on boards a lot. And then the matter to be discussed must have been included in the agenda, except for emergency matters. And then agenda shall state specific provisions of law. That's exactly what I just talked about. So that's the portion under closing an open meeting.
So the only thing you need to do is do a search and replace
For,
regions to trustees.
Okay.
On line
We'll do
17
that.
of the action, it says Board of Regents.
okay, we'll do that. All right.
We were at items for a minute.
Or UNM or anywhere else those regions.
That has regions, right? Items is here, so we'll sign.
Action, any final action taken as a result of the discussion closed meeting, if not noticed before the meeting during which closed session was held. We've kind of discussed this. Going forward in agendas, I've suggested that we include after the executive session a possible discussion and action item for any matter discussed. Exactly, so that we are not pushing to another meeting, something that you guys want to take care of that day. It's kind of a catch-all. Of course, when you come out of executive, you have to have a discussion about that again in public. But that's why I have in here, if not noticed on there, right? So it should be noticed that that we have the possibility or the potential to take action on these executive items during the meeting. But if, in case it's not, you have to do it at the next board meeting. Okay, was how it shall be made at the vote of the board, like you said, at an open public meeting.
It's not in the agenda.
Right,
Okay, so the next part from 20 to 42, you are ensure that it's already in the above,
that's the statute, yeah, that stuff is what's in the statutory.
so we don't need to include it as part of.
No, I'd love you guys to have a discussion about that. If you want more specific reference, I can just put into the policy, the statutory exceptions.
So you're saying 10-15-1 includes all of this?
Yes.
But it needs to.
Yes, and like I said, really, these mirror what's in the statute, but the language was changed a little bit. And so my advice is either we reference the statute directly, or we just pull the language from the statute directly and put it in here. I just don't want any variation that may lead us to say, oh, we could do this, but really we can't. Okay, so you tell me, if you all want me to just put the statutory language back in, if you think that'll be helpful, I can do that.
I don't know.
I
Anybody?
have a little bit of a problem having to specify what executive session is gonna discuss. Because the personnel matters can be the janitor that raped a student. Are you gonna put that on paper?
No, we don't do that. It's very limited. That's why we have to be very careful the way that we talked about it. It would be a disciplinary, personal, I guess in that circumstance, I would say, matter of disciplinary considerations for personnel or litigation if there's been suit on.
No, Texas is a small town, everybody knows everything. When you put it on paper, that's like acknowledging that really did happen. Look, they're talking about it now.
Yeah, if you know, what I would put there is, you know, and there's no way around it. You have to have some explanation about this, that we're talking about it. What I would say
It needs
is,
to fall within the 5.
right, yeah, I would suggest that this is a matter of personnel.
But that's the reason for.
Regarding custodial staff discipline or something like that. I would say something along the lines that,
Yeah.
Isn't that the reason for that word?
what?
Limited personnel matters?
Yeah, limited personnel matters, but you still have to include some information.
You can't just say.
That I agree. The AG has come down on a lot of parties because of that, but we haven't properly noticed it. And it's particularly concerning when we may take action on it after the fact, right? So in very narrow circumstances, we will have to wordsmith the language, right? But that is not me telling you have to do it. That is generally the courts and the Attorney General's office suggesting that we need more information.
Yeah, that would probably, there would be no action. We're not gonna. Do anything with a janitor, but it has to be a discussion and we have to be made aware of what's going on. But that opens the door to the public if you put it on paper.
It does. And that's the purpose of the Open Meetings Act. It's a sunshine law. I mean, it's meant to have transparency for the public to know that this board was discussing these matters. And I think, you know, personally, I think that the public would like to see that the board is talking about these things, that it shows that you all are concerned with things that are occurring here. It doesn't mean that we're publicizing what the discussion was, what the decision was, but we have to tell them that we were discussing it. I promise you, because I've had circumstances not as severe as what you've discussed, but with other school districts, right? Or things like that, that we have to be very careful, especially because those are minors involved, right? So we never talk about students, we don't talk about that, but generally it's a disciplinary involving a teacher, disciplinary involving an administrative assistant or something like that.
How about,
I get it.
and so let's say you have an employee that's being racist, you say that in a meeting? Is there, you know?
Not in an open.
Not in an open meeting. No, you would just,
An allegation.
yeah, if there's an allegation.
To litigation.
Or sexual harassment.
Right, well, and that's a good point, Chair, is that some of this stuff, by the time it's up here, is because there's pending or threatened litigation, so it's not only gonna come under personnel matters, it'll come under our pending and threatened litigation, executive session matter. And then I will say allegations of, or, you know, allegations of harassment, I won't go so far as to say sexual harassment.
You have to be very cautious.
Yeah. I wish there was better guidance, right? Right now, it's, you need to give more information than just the exception. But we also have to be concerned with protecting privacy rights and things like that, yeah.
Laws and norms are made to protect everyone.
I don't know about that, but
Oh, yeah.
there is a lot of law that is made to protect innocents until they're convicted, let's say that.
How much?
Now, what you know,
for
to whom?
executive session,
That's-
if it is a subject.
How much can we refer to the executive session?
Yeah, in other words, even though open accuracy, a lot of sensitive information is kind of. Well, refer to the trustees in executive session to be. Explain further at a.
Well, so-
Day.
What I'll suggest about the personnel exception specifically, right? Generally, personnel is not within the board's purview, these smaller disciplinary things, right? That's not within the board's purview. What the board does is,
Be discussed.
right, when it gets to the board level, it's if there's an appellate, right, of an administration or something like that. Generally, these personnel ones are the adjudicatory portion, right? When you guys are sitting here. Yeah, or the president, yes.
But the board should be informed, we're just the chair and the executive.
You know, if there's a circumstance that may lead to, hey, there's a possibility that there's a suit coming down the way, that is something that I think the board needs to be updated on. And potentially get some information on, but again, you have to be careful, because if there's an adjudicatory portion of this. Where the board's gonna sit there on an appeal and say, yeah, your termination, we agree with the termination. Then that's why we have to be careful with how much information we're sharing, so that's your question. Yes,
Say something about that, but definitely in our grievance policy that's in our handbook. If there is a grievance, people do have the right to leave to the board. So if I have come in and I have said and told you everything that's going on with that situation, you're not gonna be an impartial appeal, right?
exactly.
So it has to be, you are in our handbook that people can go to the board to appeal. So it does have to be very, very careful. If it's a personnel matter, you should not know.
We
Because
can't give you too much information about it because you guys are gonna sit
you
there
got
and judge it.
position of deciding, which is what, for me, this is a huge issue at Luna. Because if there is a grievance and then it's gonna come to me, I should not know everything about it until it comes to me officially.
Chain of command matters in terms of employment because of the chain of appeal, right?
This is a problem at Luna right now, just because of the culture of Luna. But it could put us at risk.
Probably been forever.
I agree. So what we're trying to do is say, what does it say in the handbook? What does it say
Yeah.
in our policies? And we need to make sure that we try to do that. And even me, when people come to me, I need to be able to say, look, you need to go through the process. You need to follow the grievance process and not immediately come to the president.
Right, and so let me put that in context of your question earlier, right? We won't be generally talking about disciplinary proceedings with you all, and so until it becomes an appellate issue for you all, right, where they're appealing to the board under the policy. And so in that instance, those hearings essentially, because that's what they are closed to the public. Under the statute, they are a personnel matter that finally gets to the board on something in limited circumstances. And so that's why we would cite the limited personnel matters as the closed session, right? And we would list an adjudicatory appeal hearing for a employment matter, right? We wouldn't list the name or anything like that. We wouldn't even say that it was a harassment complaint or anything like that. That's when we would primarily use the personnel matter outside of the president. If you all and I need to talk about the president, then we'll put it on there and we talk about that, okay? But that is, technically, that's your only employee, right, is the president, right? The board's only employee is the president.
But the terminology you just used was personnel matters. Which you're taking out of, you're taking that out of your.
No, I'm not. I've referred to the statute, which includes that. So we've incorporated it through the statute. We have to, whether it's in here or not, we have to conform with all.
It's to the statute.
What he's asking.
So my question to you though is if you want me to put the statutory language back in, if you think that'll be helpful, I'm happy to do it. I just want to be either,
Well, it would save cost, for one, not having the chair, for us to write a letter to the chair to respond to the attorney.
I think,
Statute.
I think it should be in there because
Okay.
citing. How many people are gonna go to the open meetings book and look it up and see,
I understand.
they're looking at policy.
Okay, so what I'll suggest is then I'm going to pull those exact sections out, word for word,
Okay.
put them in here, and that's what you'll see at next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
I
When,
feel better
Yeah.
on the rest of the board.
that's why we're doing it in a work session, so we'll talk about that.
That's the agree, just to tell that, that's,
Help us, you know?
well, it's also cost effective, you don't have to have the chair, call the attorney and find out this issue, we can read about it, we can discuss it, and then furthermore, then the chair can make the call to the attorney, and we, because she has direct access. to it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and we would be good friends
Sorry.
with the attorney in any of this stuff. I mean, that's just legal. stuff.
Well, and you know, honestly, to your point, we're gonna talk about that, how the agenda's set, because it is the chair and the president that works with us to do
I
that.
also agree with the statutory, I don't think it's, I can look at it.
Sure.
If they're not there, then here we go, we gotta do some research.
Sure, I get it,
Additional work on it, and they're already in.
no problem. Good, okay, well, we'll have that together. All right. The next section is 1900. It's 2 pages down, 1900. This is that notice provision. So this is the section that once a year we do have to go back into, right? And confirm what is appropriate notice under the act. Now, as it stands, it's 72 hours, which is the minimum required by the act. I have been involved with institutions that extend that to a 10-day notice period. That notice for meetings has to be provided with 10 days before the meeting. There are pros and cons to that. Obviously, that gives a lot of time for people to digest. If there's a meeting I might want to get to and get scheduled for it, that's a very good thing in terms of public participation. There are drawbacks, right? So again, in a public finance circumstance, when you're dealing with resolutions on loan agreements or bonds and things like that, those numbers can kind of fluctuate. And so if they change within the notice period, right, so that now we're too close to the meeting to change the agenda or to add something, then you have to call a special or push it out, right? And that can conflict with other schedules for the financing itself, right? Because the statutes for those things. So there's just some considerations. I've left it at 72 hours, but this is up to the board and this is what we do annually. If you think more notice should be provided, meaning we should post our notice and agenda further out from the meeting, that's for you all to discuss. Yes, this is the minimum, this is the floor, say that.
Sometimes we're down to the minute.
Yeah.
It happens. You know, again, the flexibility of having 3 days is that you have more time to set that agenda.
Okay, the only problem I have in that part is where it says newspapers.
Yes.
9 of general circulation that have provided a written request for such notice. Why?
That's straight out of
Why
the
can't you
statute.
just send it?
You can. You can if you want to.
Then we need to leave out provided, that's. like-
Okay, that's straight out of the statute. That's just a,
So we aren't doing that now? We're not doing that now. We haven't, we've only been noticing on the website.
How do you want to do, Madam Chair?
And we could leave out where it says provided a written request, because is the journal gonna send us a written request for all notices? The optic hasn't, so we don't provide it.
right.
But I think we're the only ones that don't provide that notice, not that I want to, but.
Or if you got, you know, they may have sent a request, that's totally within your purview. This is just the statute
This
and
is
it's kind of.
a lot of reasons.
I think it's the legislature trying to acknowledge that it can be burdensome to go start publishing and all these different
Okay.
things, but it's up to you all. It's up to you all, whatever you want.
I guess leave it. If they want us to give them a notice, they need to write us a notice.
Well, no, and if they want it, they have to, but nothing in this precludes you from just giving it to them anyway.
Yeah, okay,
But we haven't been.
yeah, we don't.
Well,
need
who's
to.
to say?
The next provision down is, I just changed homepage to website. This doesn't stop you from.
See, number 15 says website.
Yeah, nothing precludes you from putting it on the homepage, but I just don't want to limit us to there. If it's not there, suddenly we've given bad notice, right? If it's somewhere else on the website, I don't like that. And then the next line out, it's redundancies again, right? This is the emergency meetings portion. We've already talked about that up ahead. I don't want to have too many references that we don't revise, right? If we're gonna change something.
When will we get a red line?
Do you want a Word version, I can send it to you right now. But
So
what
he's
we're.
gonna make the changes that we talked about today,
Mhm,
and then it'll go, well, because we've already had your packet.
mhm.
We can then figure out, we had this section, we needed to give you the packets for next week already, which you guys got. But we can email you that, or we will bring a copy on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Of the, whatever we agree on.
And I'll make the changes
They
today.
also have one board member up, Mr. William,
Mhm.
so I don't know if the board's gonna wanna go through, I'm just saying in general.
Sure.
So it might be either removed from the agenda, or it might be put to another meeting.
Oh,
So
We need to leave it on the agenda.
I'm just saying that, Chip,
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
You can table
it
it.
can be
If you need
removed
to.
if need be, but if there's more discussion about it, then you'll have to be further.
Well, and remember, when we
at
move,
the end of today.
right,
Right.
right, so that's what this is for. I will make these revisions and send them back to the president tomorrow, and she can forward them to you all, so you can update your packet. And if you need to, I mean, anytime you make a motion, right, there's discussion on it. So you can discuss this with the absent board member at the meeting on Tuesday and explain to them your thoughts on this. You can do this all again in shorthand, because we're taking more time now, at the next meeting. So if he has questions, you all can talk about it, and I'm happy, I guess I'll ask you now, if you want me there, I'm happy to come Tuesday to talk about that too. Okay, or I can, I don't know how, you'll see, I have some new changes to Zoom policy. Sorry, boot camp. I can appear by Zoom though, whenever you guys want. That's always more cost efficient, and you'll see,
I did it too.
we'll talk after. All right, so that's it for those pages. And the next page, the next change is in 2100, so it's kind of 2 pages
Okay,
off.
there's one thing that I noticed not there and I'm
Okay.
gonna have it there.
Okay.
That's how to add additions or deletions, because we always have that problem.
To the agenda,
Yes,
Like that. Never came in.
after the notice period?
yes. We need to put it in the policy.
Okay, well, after the notice period, I would say you can't add to it, but what you can do,
But we need to put it in the policy.
okay, that you can,
Items cannot be added.
okay, you want me to put that in there?
It's real simple.
Thank you, man.
That's,
And then delete it.
so under agenda, just for me, my next.
Just before the agenda.
It needs to be clear.
so add note that that items cannot be added.
Push me out of the way.
And how about the deletions?
Okay, and so deletions, yes, we'll say that they can't be deleted, but in that realm, obviously you can table something
Yeah,
at the
right.
meeting, and so that's how you would handle that.
Okay, so
Okay,
And
I
I
think
do,
we should put it in there too.
okay, you want me to add deletions?
Yeah.
We'll add that too. Perfect.
I think it needs to be clear for people that, maybe new people, we're gonna have one for sure, Kenny.
Yeah.
Said he wasn't gonna run, so,
me neither.
and who knows,
You're out?
knows about the rest.
Oh, you are gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I,
And I'll win.
good. All right, so the next section that, like I said, is 2100, and what got pulled from there was just the emergency language again. It's redundancies. We've already addressed it already. I will highlight, and I think this is good policy, make the ads that you just talked about, Chair. But again, the president and the board chair shall be responsible for preparing the final agendas. Okay, so that's, if you want something on the agenda, you should go through the chair for it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if a trustee wants to
I mean,
make a statement, they're allowed to do that.
we need it.
Yeah, so usually on agendas, you have, board comments or things like that at the end of the meeting. Generally speaking, and this is just for the trustees, this is best practices, okay? If we add to an agenda that there's a comment period at the end of the thing where the trustees just get to go around and kind of make open comments. Be aware, and there's some comments in here that you're on the board in a public meeting, so you're representing the community college at this point, right? If you have a personal statement to make about something, or it's a personal view that's not shared with the board, just make clear, right? This is my view as an individual trustee. This doesn't represent the whole board's view.
Agenda.
What I would suggest is that you add general comments on the agenda.
So if trustee Portillo's wanted to make a, not related to something that's on the agenda.
Right.
Right, if she wanted to make a comment about that.
She can't. She can't unless you have a general comment.
You oftentimes say, can I have appointed personal?
That is correct, that is.
So is that allowed?
Yes, it is. By Robert's Rule of Order, it is, before a meeting is conducted. Just like I did today.
Well, no, I'm talking about within a meeting, if we
Right.
had a point of personal privilege within a meeting, do we need to put in language about it? Is that allowed?
So
No, that's wrong.
these policies adopt Robert's Rules of Order. And so to some extent, that is allowed. However, under the Open Meetings Act, we're not talking Robert's Rules, right? You need to stick to things that are only on the agenda. So what you're not gonna do is have a discussion about the public comment.
Right, he just
About
gonna make.
If you want to make a comment and say, Madam Chair, I think we need to discuss this issue at the next meeting, I have concerns about it, that's appropriate if we have a general.
He says.
But he wants us to have a general thing on the agenda.
Right, so have an agenda, and this happens, city councils, everyone can have a portion that, you know, closing the meeting is just comments from the trustees, right? So you go around the round table, is there anything you wanna say? And I gotta tell you, a lot of times it becomes rote, right? I wanna thank these people, I wanna thank these people. You have to be careful. If we're gonna include that, you need to be careful, because it's your guys' obligation, each and every one of you, to follow OMA. To not go outside of what's required, to hold yourself back, because if one of the trustees says, I'm pissed off about this, I wanna do this, that, or the other. Bite your tongue and say, okay, we could discuss that at the next meeting. Right, it is all, there's a manner of control that each trustee has, right? Okay,
Okay, so if
Don't
we're
wanna
jumping ahead,
More of the same.
are we jumping ahead to public participation?
no, not yet, well, give me a second, so I just want, this is the agenda.
Whether it needed to be on the agenda. That
Some
if
language.
there is a comment that one of the trustees wants to make a point of personal, what is it called? Point of
Point of personal privilege.
privilege. Do we have to have something on a place on the agenda? That they have to say that they need to do that we open, so I know it's in Robert's rules, but,
No, not necessarily.
okay.
This is, again, I'm sorry that I can't say yes or no to it, not necessarily. A point of personal privilege under Robert's rules is allowed, we've adopted Robert's rules in these policies. However, that is still having to be controlled within the Open Meetings Act, that overlies it. And so you can't go too far afield on that. What I'm suggesting, if you want to have a comment period for the trustees, where it's just individual comments at the roundtable at the end, you should add a general comments from the trustees, right? It's not about anything specific to the agenda or anything like that.
Since we're gonna touch base on that, let's be clear. Let's be clear about that.
Okay.
She's wanting some verbiage in there on the agenda, okay, but you follow the agenda as is, so if the comment is not towards the end, you can only speak at towards the end when it's that commentary, you can't do it in the beginning, correct? Or vice versa, if it's in the beginning, you can't discuss it in the end, because you have to follow the agenda, correct?
Well, so when we've talked about,
That matter in that business has already been discussed.
That too, when's the time?
Does that make sense to you guys? You understand what I asked?
okay, so what I would suggest then, if you want to move some comments up above, it's already on the agenda. We're not adding it to the agenda. right?
Move it in the agenda.
But when you guys approve the agenda, that's when you could say, hey, I'd like to move this topic up.
And we've done that.
Right,
And we've done
and
that.
that's when I would suggest you do that.
I think the point is, the chairman for meetings and recommend if it's gonna be, you know, at the beginning or at the end or maybe down the line.
Or maybe you would wanna say, I would like to move this item.
Yeah.
You can do it in the beginning.
So ideally, right, you know, you see, under 2100, we have the order of business, right?
And I have a question about that.
Sure.
because We don't necessarily follow that.
What do you mean?
Well, it should.
We
What do you
don't
mean?
necessarily follow the way it's written.
The
For
agenda?
example, committee reports are way above,
This is what's in your board now.
but committee reports are second or third on the agenda.
Where, what
That's number
So
11.
if you're looking at 2100, you gotta flip.
This don't have to be our own format.
That's the format that's in the policy. You pay for these.
Yes, my idea, you can have one, you can have two, you can have the whole pot.
Right, so we might need to change the order of this,
Okay.
so we can change the order to what we're currently doing.
That's what I'm asking
Yeah.
specifically. I think
So
you're
what
gonna
item-
run out.
So, you know, honestly, what I'll tell you, yes, I'm sorry, I can show you. 2100. is where we're at. So then it's on this, you have to skip through those. You know what I would suggest, maybe a better way to do this, rather than changing that.
Okay, wait, listen.
What I'm suggesting is rather than change the order, then you're down to that next time we open this up. What I would change, if you look on, the first page of that, so line 37 under the board agenda 2100, right? There's a shall there, meaning shall be as follows. I would suggest we just change that to a may. Okay, it becomes permissive. This is like a good guideline, but you know, we can order it as we need to, okay?
Yeah, because usually we have committee reports before
Right.
president's report.
But we could, if we always do that, we could move that up.
I think it's better to put it where we have it currently.
So adjust that, we can adjust
Yeah, we can
that.
still do that.
But not, get rid of the shall, because if we change the order, I think.
It may be this.
So move committee reports to number 7.
Madam Chair.
And this is not governed by OMA. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, but what I want to explain to the chair is what he's proposed, and what we're abiding by, it don't matter.
No, because that's.
Because we're just following the format. And that's all that really matters. We're not in any,
I know, he said we just put.
Oh, we
may,
are if we
it'll be
dictate
good.
in our policy, so any detail that we put in our policy, if we don't follow it,
but the one we're doing is our policy.
no, we're not.
No.
So so what I think, my understanding
Hmm.
is that Carlos is saying less is more. So any detail that we actually put, if we don't follow that, if we don't have to put it in. If we don't have to put it in, we shouldn't put it in.
But we need to move committee reports, I see.
Well, oh, and that's fine. we
Yeah,
can
that's
do
good.
that, but.
Especially with the
But
may.
if it does say that we should do that, if it dictates this, that we need, if it dictates.
That's why it
that
says
we
may.
We're on.
We're gonna have residents, but
We're gonna we're gonna replace. And the other thing we said, we're gonna add comments from trustees under 13.
What do you?
Comments from trustees under 13. Like we have on our committee,
Yeah.
meetings, other items from trustees or whatever we
So-
put on.
If I may, let me put this a little bit in context to what President Lynch talking about. So we have in our policy. This is the order of things, right? And presently it says shall, but I'm suggesting may, and what we've been doing has not been following this. That is not a concern of the Open Meetings Act. Open Meetings Act is required, so I'm not, right, so I'm not concerned that the Attorney General necessarily is gonna come in and say, hey, you guys violate open meetings by not doing this order. But what it does create is we have a policy that we violated then, and that someone else can just complain to us that you violated your policy, and how to deal with that.
I think that's.
Making it permissive, one second, sorry. Making it permissive allows us to kind of have that, and then of course, being disciplined that at the meeting, if you want to move something up on the agenda, you do it at the appropriate time.
Right,
So what's the flexibility in that? The flexibility is being able to move it before we need it, but in hindsight, if somebody's gonna file an open meetings act for us. Because one line item was different on the page than where it should have been, come on.
They're not, going-
they're not.
they're not going to, that's not where we're gonna.
Understandably,
We should try to follow what is the policy, and so I just think we need to make more permissive language, we should say the general agenda shall be.
Yeah,
This
or
gives it.
may take the form as, yeah.
And then you get, it allows us, and then nobody's gonna say anything, and nobody.
and what we've done in the past, Mr. Padilla, you want me to address Mr. Padilla?
No, you can call me Carlos.
Carlos?
Yeah.
So in the past that we've done. Is sometimes we have somebody that needs to either get to a family member.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we can't make it point the whole meeting, you could have some compassion for the people that are running this institution, right?
I get it.
So we moved them up as a board and we've helped them to present so that they can go.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's appropriate. I mean, you deal with it with the agenda portion, but that's appropriate. And I'll tell you, I was just in a meeting till 9:30 at night because I was 64th on the agenda and they had 64 items. Where?
I wasn't there, I moved you to.
Yeah, well,
Unless you come on here with an addendum like somebody, then we'll have some words.
64. Okay, so I like this. I'll change it to a may and we'll make sure that we put it in the order that we're currently doing it, but we'll change that to a may and make it more permissive, okay?
Okay, and then we're gonna add additional comments from trustees?
Yeah,
So,
trustee,
saying, President Linder is just best practice.
yeah,
In
It is the best
you went in
practice.
a rabbit hole and went all the way around, you have to say just best practice.
trustees' general comments is what I would suggest. And again, that's on you all. I want to impress it upon you like I did last time. Almost all your responsibilities.
That, I know that was a thinker, unless I understood where was it clarified, that it pretty much through the means that being brought up at any time, say, Secretary Dominguez is getting out of control. And we need to kind of stop it.
I would suggest there's a point of order at that point, but.
Okay, so
But yeah, so Robert's rules is meant to guide, it's by no means like the operative, statute, right? Open meetings is.
Hey,
And so again, don't take advantage of personal privilege to bring stuff up that's outside of the agenda. Right? And general comments, don't try to go have discussions about stuff. I mean, this is really on you all, right? If you think, hey, you know what, this triggered my head to think I want to talk about this at our next meeting. So in my general comments, I'm going to suggest to the board, hey, I think we should talk about this at the opening. I have these concerns. And that's where it ends. Perfectly fine. Okay?
Or I would like to make sure this is on the agenda for.
Yep. And that general comments portion allows us to kind of do that, right? Because we've noticed there's gonna be some general comments, and if the public wants to come and just hear what you all have to say. Right, it can't be to conduct business, we can't discuss it, it's not a discussion, it's a comment period. And we're obviously not gonna take action on it, that's the point. Be careful though, it can go awry, okay, so. We open Pandora's box, it's on you guys to make sure you're being disciplined about how you deal with that, okay? Of course. All right, Mark stepped out, if you wanna take a second, just wait for him to come back in. I think this is the last substantive.
What are you going over, what did you?
Yes, 2200.
all right, back to that defense of the comment that was made, if somebody's getting online. Let me just state that some people can't handle the truth.
Okay, Colonel Jessup.
But look, facts don't have feelings, bro.
Oh, there you go.
But hey, we're good, we're moving along right now.
Alternative facts do though.
Now you sound like Trump. I didn't lie to you, I just presented you with ulterior facts.
All right, so I think we're good on that portion. Let's move to 2200, okay?
Thank you.
What is he saying, not fast?
2200 is
I
a,
need another dozen donuts.
yeah. 2200 is a larger revision, right? If you all know, our current policy says telephonic appearances by board members is not permitted at any meeting or action scheduled to take place. We live in a very different world post-COVID.
Can't change that.
We haven't.
Okay, so what do we want to change?
Telephonic participation.
Right.
No.
So why? Because I think having
We
the,
excused it because we said it's not by telephone, it's by computer.
okay, well, here we're gonna make it, I'm proposing to make it a policy that you can participate by Zoom or telephone if need be.
Okay, so-
And there's circumstances that limit that.
I have to. I have to leave that and fight for that. For that, to leave telephone and computer on by Zoom, and not for you. But I'm gonna just say it.
Yeah, well, we have it there.
Well, I'm gonna just say it, I'm gonna speak my mind again. We had a board member that fought till. Her last days to stay on this board, and she did well. So if in the future we have one. Want to stay that way. Because I think everybody should have that right to, if they still wanna
That's
participate,
the law. We have to.
we should make some.
So, if I may, let me just make sure, let me make sure I understand that. What I'm proposing is that we allow that.
Yes.
And if somebody's caring for a loved one, we live in.
Yes,
Mexico.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I'm adding here, is that,
Maybe I'm not defensive real fast.
We're not needing.
how about let me read it out loud to everyone, okay? So,
Come and sit here.
To end that discussion because it's there.
yes,
I wanna know, isn't there somewhere where it says that they have to be visible? How do you know somebody's on the phone talking to you and then they say it's Luis and it's not someone else?
well, let me tell you, you get my phone. I was gonna do this.
Yeah, but they're there, the way it was written previously, they could not participate in closed session and they could not be participants in any action.
Right.
Now we're allowing that,
Hmm.
but we're still allowing it unseen.
And you would like it to require that they're seated.
I think, I mean,
So,
I think it would be
This is
more-
my only question, okay? What we're doing is allowing Zoom participation, which of course you have a camera or FaceTime. But if, again, let's say, hey, we're driving up to Colorado, we gotta get on the road, but I wanna be at this meeting. I'm on the phone with you, I can't be on video.
I know, I certified the hands-free, I have the hands-free, I think everybody does in their vehicles, right? And you don't have access to FaceTime, you only have access to a voice.
So if that's a concern, that's what I'm getting at, if you're, I. Personally, I don't think it's necessary that you see the face, you know your
Right.
trustees.
I-
But if you're concerned with that, we can add to this that it requires visual confirmation.
I get it.
So that's up to you all.
I'm in a bad rural area.
Well,
You don't have. you don't have-
and what I'm gonna suggest is obviously, we're discussing this now. I will put it, you guys can vote on this later and discuss it too, but I just think that this is a small board.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, on it now.
No, we're not voting on it now.
Gilbert? No, Mark?
Say again, Madam Chair?
Oh, wait a minute, you're supposed to be paying attention.
No, it's-
Rolando,
You're right, we have to go get ourselves,
The suggestion was,
visible can be by phone,
No,
or
because,
doesn't have to be
no, for
visible.
myself, trustee Ortega, what if you're in a rural area and.
The thing is,
So no.
if you're driving,
Rolando?
you have hands-free, you can't see that
My
person.
question is, if it's a
Only
bonus,
some of us.
That's what I'm saying.
but
Zoom
I
meeting.
don't have a problem with the phone, because I think with voices are recognizable for the most part, and if we're legit and, you know, and.
can I tell you this much, guys?
No.
I appear by telephonic in courts. I did it, the magistrate court. Even though we have Google, sometimes it's just not, I'm not able to. You're in bigger trouble if someone is impersonating.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. And
But
you're gonna
they-
tell
and
them.
when you do it in court, because I've been in court with foster kid programs.
Yeah.
Is you have to verify who you are.
Well, yeah, you get on and if you read, right, you have to,
But we're talking. a
each
small-
member participating remotely must be identified when speaking. Right? All participants must be able to hear each other at the same time and members of the public attending must be able to say, I mean, this is,
Plus in court, there's no decisions made, the judge.
that's even worse, it's so much better. Unlicensed practice of law. I'll leave it to you all, I think opening it a little more broader to give some flexibility.
No,
Okay,
No,
no,
well, as written, this allows you guys to
Yes.
what
participate.
do you think, Gilbert?
he said no.
All right, and I want to say that is the last substantive change. Let me double check.
There's another problem.
Go there.
Okay, on line one, after public participation.
Okay,
Individuals must limit comments to items listed on the agenda for the meeting at which they will speak.
Hmm.
Right now, I have a constituent from my district who wants to come to a board meeting in public comment and discuss training of water system operators. It's not on the agenda. I need to let him speak.
which one, which agenda, this next meeting, should you wanna, that should be on the agenda?
It's on public comments.
No, hold on.
It's public comment, but
So
according
our
to this.
policy, our policy says, and this, I didn't change this, that's what
I
it
think we
says.
need to take it off.
I'm reluctant to, I tell you, because this goes off the rails. If you have a constituent and wants to address the board on something, put them on the agenda. They don't have to be in public comments.
I don't wanna put them on the agenda.
I got the solution.
I wanna give them 3 minutes and that's it.
Well, you can tell them, that's your, you can still tell
He's a fire.
Not to discredit or demise somebody from Mora or anywhere.
Well,
But
of
some
course
board,
not, I'm here to stop it.
if that's what you wanna do, then we'll stop it if you want, it's not a problem. But look at, the way most sessions run is you, for public comment only on state municipality.
Hmm?
Public comment can only be from people, can only be, it's only adopted by some council and city schools and stuff like that, that you can only talk about what's on the agenda, you can't go off the rails and talk about whatever you want.
But that's what he's.
But that has to be,
That's what's in our policy,
that's what has to be in the policy.
and that's,
And I've been here at meetings when you were on the board and I wasn't. And there was a lady came to talk about the wood program, was not on the agenda, and you guys allowed her to speak, and I would say, this guy that wants to talk about the water program, I don't think I should tell him you can't speak, cause it's not on the agenda.
Well, then we can then speak, but I mean, what's the issue?
you can put them on the agenda. Here's the thing,
I don't want to put it on the agenda.
For this meeting, and so you can consider, but you could consider and tell them we could put them on.
I need to leave him in public comment.
let me tell you, either way, he's not gonna be able to be at the next meeting of public comments,
Well, no,
because it's
no,
not
I
even
know that.
adopted, but,
Okay,
So-
but public comment doesn't require you to check in until you're at the
Right.
meeting.
and so,
You
can I,
wanna change the language to so that anybody
I
can
don't-
talk about whatever they.
Well, I
Yes.
agree, I
In 3
agree on
minutes?
that one, yeah, because
3 minutes, they can talk about whatever they.
The only one that can respond to them anyway is you.
no one respond, do not respond. You know, this allows you to, but I always advise not,
to, right?
it allows you to, it
No,
does.
it doesn't, look, the board shall not
No,
be
it's possible it
required.
does, not-
Shall not be required.
Yeah.
Matters may be referred, we can say the board will not.
Can the
have to
president
be
respond?
It doesn't require you to, but you can.
Can the
It doesn't
president
require you
respond?
to,
Yeah.
you can.
But we
President
did it, you don't want.
Say the board doesn't have enough knowledge of the issue, and let's say the president has.
Yeah,
knowledge
it
of
says
the issue.
directed to the president.
Be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Generally speaking, I like to say thank you for your comments.
Yes,
If you wanna take it off, manager, take it off, I'll support it, I think,
I
it's an
think we should take
institution.
it off.
It's a community college. and
It's, that's 1, 2, 3, how do you feel?
We're not voting, but we're just,
Consensus.
the consensus is that we'd like to see it different, right?
They're supposed to be on the agenda, they're gonna be on there anyway.
No, but this is, the agenda's already printed, is what she's saying, it's already printed and all this.
So can I just, let me give you
Just do it.
a background on this, okay? Open Meetings Act, right, is to give the public notice of what's gonna be discussed at the meeting.
Right.
And so presumably the comments that you're gonna be getting are on what's on the agenda. This helps you maintain.
The water program will never be on the agenda, and you'll never be able to.
And it doesn't concern the agenda.
Because they do ask you to put it on the agenda.
Yeah, but the agenda is.
You can post every one on the meeting.
They're gonna get access to our agenda.
Newspapers, website. Well, now we're talking about that we might.
Hey, what if they just walk in and say, may I speak about this? What are we gonna do? They vote for us or they don't.
I'm not arguing for it, I guess I'm suggesting that if this doesn't change, the suggestion would be that
Okay,
you can
then
put it on the
say
next
this.
agenda, or you can talk to the president.
We say this, if possible, individuals must limit to items.
Or I could strike it, it's up to you
Is
all.
that okay?
You're gonna vote on
If
this
possible.
next session.
Yeah, I knew you referred to.
No, number, it's not gonna be on here, it's gonna be on the old one.
We all know that.
Yes, public.
It says, individuals must limit comments to items listed on the agenda for the meeting at which they will speak. This is directly part of public comment. I don't think.
Now,
Where do
now,
you-
Mr.
I
Padilla.
don't think so.
Mr. Padilla,
It's in here already.
What's this, Madam Chair? Mr. Padilla, I would like your professional opinion on this matter.
Oh, he's gonna say, leave
He's
it,
already said
leave it the way it is.
it. He's already told
Let
us
him
3
talk.
times.
Hey, then we need to do an addendum to
No,
it, sir.
Let him just-
Then we need to,
Oh, it's over here.
then we need to
Go
do
on
an
to it,
addendum to it.
39.
Did you see?
You all control your meeting, right? You all control your meeting. You do not, OMA does not require you to open comments to the public. You all control your meeting, so if
It's
you want,
number 1.
yeah, it's number 1 on this page. If you want to allow for this, perfectly fine. The policies allow you to rein in some public comment,
3
right?
minutes?
That's fine, if that's what you wanna do, that's fine.
It says in 3 minutes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you wanna strike that, I'm happy to strike it, you guys are gonna vote on it next week anyway.
But
Maybe
you don't
we
wanna
say,
strike it, you
does.
wanna keep it.
no, I want it out.
Oh, you wanna strike
Because
line 1.
I want
Yes.
them to be able to speak to us about anything that they have a problem
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're not
That's the question,
listening
sorry.
as
I didn't
representatives.
understand. Okay.
This is the place to speak, not out in the parade.
So right now we have 3 people the.
Mr. Padilla, why is it that some municipalities and schools give people a time limit? You must sign up 15 minutes prior. To limit the meeting.
Yeah, to make sure
I
that,
want to be transparent.
Madam Chair, I understand that.
Well, that's why.
It's a general question.
so,
I just wanna know why it's doing it, and I thought that's what's why, but to just.
yeah, so as written right now, you have a period for which you can sign up for public comment before the meeting. You're limited to 3 minutes. And what is being suggested that we could strike this. This is just a proposal. So next week you all can debate this again when you get the version of this to vote on and approve, okay? I will include that strikeout.
Or we could say, if possible, individuals must limit comments.
Okay.
Would
Well,
that be better with everybody? If-
we'll vote on that next week. I'll have both versions available for you.
Okay.
Okay,
But-
I don't wanna stray too much into where we're taking
We
strong.
need to know where everybody stands now, so you don't have to do two, and we don't have to argue again. So
Well-
what,
Hold on, no. You have to have a discussion next week.
I know, but I don't wanna discuss yes and no for an hour.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think
just-
I think there's a consensus here.
Hey, with all the money you make today, are you gonna buy us lunch food?
Yeah, what do you want?
I don't.
Damn.
Consensus,
No honor area,
Hey, there's no.
governmental conduct act.
Hey, there's no hard to here, bro, I'm sorry.
But
Please don't tell
we can say nothing there. Number one, strike it off, or we could say, if possible, individuals must limit comments, etc.
I don't
Items
think
is
that
set on the agenda, or we can say the way it is, individuals must limit comments.
I think
We
if you
need
say
consensus.
if possible, then everybody's gonna say,
Oh, it was possible.
it was, right, so if you put the word if possible. It's
Just
essentially
do away with
saying
it.
that.
Yeah, either you cut it out or you don't.
Cut it or you don't.
Okay, what do you think?
I'm open to public comment. Yeah, but again.
Without being restricted that it has to be on the agenda.
Yeah.
You know, we could always go back and change it again if it goes off the rails.
Well, I know.
Well, I like the idea about the, public comment, I'm not sure about the, 3 minutes, you know.
No, all that is gonna stay that way, we need 3 minutes. So if they don't talk forever.
3 minutes about the flat earth.
Talk about something else.
No, I don't think agenda.
That's like an upcoming program or
Yeah, it
something.
would be in the best interest for us.
Just listen. Okay, so consensus,
Okay, so I'll cut it out. So in the version that you guys will all be debating and approving next week, we'll have that out.
yeah,
And then it says, thank you for your time.
yes,
Then when we open the can of worms, we'll come back if the.
We can always come back, everyone.
We always do.
profanity, obscenity, and other offensive language.
Mhm. But, you know, and again, I really want you all to view this section, and I thought it was actually very good. But just view this as your ability to maintain the order of the meeting.
Everything is good except number one.
Right, what we have in here it allows you guys to say, hey, you know, board policy, there's no profanity, there's nothing. cut you off.
Can you put in there somewhere that the board chair has the right to cut off the person?
It says there,
Because what if they go off on a?
Yeah.
sufficient cost for the board chair to withdraw citizens' permission to address the board.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll just
Oh,
call
no,
it-
I thought, honestly, this is a pretty good policy for this, so. I didn't have any changes to it, I thought it was actually very well written.
I wrote it.
Profanity and what all. How long before you can pretty much ban them from attending? How long? does
So-
that take place?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a First Amendment consideration, and because we open it to public comment, right? They have now First Amendment rights to be there. It has to be viewpoint neutral, if it's based on, you know, a violation of this and they're using profanity. Then, you know, you can give them a warning if you want, we can include something more specific. But, you know, I would suggest that you be very cautious when banning anyone from these. Unless there was a, you know, a threat of violence or something like that, yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
At which point we may be looking into a restraining order, right? So just be very cautious.
Ask about line 18 on that page.
Yep.
So I don't know if there is a submission form right now, but going back to Dr. Martinez's point. Are we required to put it on the agenda? It's just not clear to me even when I read that language.
No.
The president may determine that the matter be referred to the committee prior to being
May,
discussed.
may
Under
determine.
these circumstances, the president shall notify the request for 48 hours for the meeting. All administrative remedies shall be exhausted prior to the meeting. So,
All administrative remedies, so did you read that, Dr. Martinez?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
filed a problem with that.
but can we just say that they should notify the executive administrative assistant rather than using a submission form? Because I don't think we have that,
yeah, that's probably, if we don't have the form, I'd rather it just be.
that they just notify I just think that they should notify the administrative assistant for requests.
But I think the form should have why they're gonna speak.
Okay, well, I mean, so then you want Leslie to create a form,
Yeah, and that way she has it on paper, or it's
you
not
can
subject.
put it on the website.
Put it on the website.
Yeah.
And put at the very top, must be submitted 10 days before.
Yeah, and I think the 10 days before is helpful because what you're gonna have to do is you have to read this provision.
Do we want to say available on the website?
Yeah.
Then we put it on the LCC board of trustees, then you could tell your constituents, they want to be on the agenda, you can. And then we put this language that explains this,
And this is separate from public comments.
this is
an
separate.
agenda item.
Yeah.
Comment.
And what I'll tell you is though, again, you have to read that section with the agenda section, right? Because so to your point, President, you know, do we have to put it on just because they requested?
No.
I would suggest no, right? Because we look back at the agenda, the president and the board chair should be responsible for this, to put up the agenda as appropriate.
So,
Okay, so we need to create that.
so when do we decide, does the chairman, chair?
No, at the meeting, next meeting, we're
Oh,
gonna
we-
decide. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, on this.
But, you know, somebody wants to be on the agenda.
Oh,
Who
that's
decides?
up to
That's
them.
up, no, that's up to
No,
you
okay.
and the chair.
To me and her.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, specifically on you a little bit, the board chair shall be responsible for and the trustees that have items placed on the agenda as appropriate. So coordinating with you all, if you want something on the agenda, talk to the chair. Right,
Where does it say that?
that's back in 2100.
Oh.
That's, you know, you gotta, it's back and forth, they kind of refer to each other. But yeah, that's the way we do that.
Yeah, so on 2100, it says. Actually, I numbered my pages, but it's 8, the board president and the board chair.
Yeah,
But we changed that to may be responsible. I thought that's.
No, that's not where we're changing.
But that's not that's where we kept that, shall. This is where we
No,
changed it to may.
the May is the order of business.
Got it, I got it wrong.
No, it's the president and the chair who really set the agenda. That's part of the perks of being a chair.
And then you coordinate with the other trustees
Right.
in terms of agenda
Right.
items.
I used to always send an email saying, does anyone have anything to put to the agenda? Nobody would ask you guys.
God, don't do that. Don't do that. As a matter of fact, what I would suggest is that you coordinate with President Linder. We want to avoid quorums, right? Unless there's a matter going quorums.
It can be a direct call.
Yeah, if it's one-on-one, that's a different story. If it's a direct call or.
That's usually.
And then.
But remember, right, you can't start taking straw polls by call.
States it here, shall be responsible for coordinating
Yep.
with trustees. It's in there.
Yeah.
And then if you see they don't put it on.
Yeah, no, and I'm suggesting you still do it this way. I know what it says.
And then if they don't put it on, you raise a point of personal privilege, you be lining up and elect you. And you have that right.
And if Mark says, I want this on the agenda, I would say, okay, even if.
Well, and that's generally the way it works. Right, you know, each of you are elected, if you want something on the agenda, put it on the agenda.
I'm just giving you a hard
I
time.
know.
If
No, you're
I
giving
want
me a hard
something, I
time.
ask.
I just, see, I think I'm eyes when we start talking about emails and calls to everyone, I'm like, okay, that's still close to rolling quorum.
Title nine.
Yes, we talked about, well, Mark and I talked about that, maybe deal with getting that on the agenda for a training or something.
Hey, he says Title 9, and I said equal, that's what Title 9 is.
Cool.
But
Yeah, but some people don't understand that. Some
I
people
always,
just think males and some people just think females and. I'm not gonna get into it.
Okay, we're not there yet.
We're not.
That's all I had. Do you guys have more changes?
let me see,
I have one question.
Yes.
About the, let me see where it was. On the minutes,
oh yeah, I have one.
Okay.
where does it say the minutes? Is that in here or not?
Well, it talks about minutes here. Hold on.
What are you asking?
What's the concern with that?
Well, we had talked about,
time limits.
well, what we had talked about at the Open Meetings Act was that once a set of minutes has been approved.
Yep.
Removing the video off the website.
It's on 2400 and it's line 5.
The video
It
is
says,
optional.
all minutes shall be
Yeah,
maintained
video
and
is
made
optional.
available on the website, but we need to
Video
put in
is
time.
optional.
What do you mean time?
You
I don't
said
have it. I don't
we
have
take it off.
Video is optional.
You said that we don't leave it there forever. Well, you can, it's the original.
Hold please. Okay, wait, so here, so on minutes, what line are we talking about?
We're talking about 2400 minutes of the board.
Yeah,
And we're talking about all, at the very end, all minutes shall be maintained by the office of the president and made available on the college website.
so
And you
I
said we take them off after a certain time.
The video.
The
the
report.
video.
Okay, then we need to add something.
So, okay, we could be more clear in this. What I'm
Why
suggesting
do
here,
you wanna remove them though?
with the video, because the minutes are the actual record. The video doesn't matter.
Yeah, but why is that such a big issue for you that you didn't?
Because if something came back out of open, if we got a Freedom of Information Act question, or somebody said, I want all the minutes and all the records of action, of board meetings, right?
That's already been done, right? Some of them,
Well, yeah, so
Some of the
people can
video-
request that, but say that if there is, so somebody gets a minutes, we approve the minutes, right? And then somebody goes back and looks at the YouTube
A year later,
a year later, or not even a year later, 2 months later, and there is something that wasn't captured in the minutes, then you have a person that's gonna say, the board did this, and then, but that's not reflected in your minutes.
And your minutes should be accurate, and that's your responsibility for that, right? The reason there's some practical, there's some practical and legal concerns about keeping both the video and the minutes, right? One, the minutes are the official record. That's what, right?
and the
And I-
video talks about everything.
Right.
3 hours
Exactly.
of talking.
But as President Linder suggested, right? If we have both up there, now I have someone arguing, well, that's not what it said, this is what it is, and the minutes are. The other side of it is, practically speaking, if we leave video up ad infinitum, you're gonna become YouTube, right? And it's a lot of data space on the cloud, it's a cost, right? So,
we pay here. We pay good here.
So maybe just say all approved
maybe you could save the cost though by not keeping videos from 4 years ago.
I tried.
minutes. All approved minutes.
Minutes-
Shall be maintained
Well,
by.
what I think we should add here is specifically minutes will be the official record of the board.
Okay,
And those shall be maintained on the. Video recordings of the meetings will remain up or
we
all.
don't need to put it up all, I mean, that's just, maybe we need to have a
So,
policy.
trustee Dominguez, one of the things that I'm gonna say is that today you're wearing a shirt that has profanity on the back, and when you walk and get coffee during the meeting, people, that's recorded.
Okay.
I'm just saying that if you
So
see,
we're shit.
that is profanity.
I didn't know to offend you.
I'm just saying that is on a recorded YouTube that has a trustee with a shirt that has profanity on it that is now on our recording.
Okay, then adopt a policy, make with him, and adopt a dress code, bring it to the board, and we'll do.
No, actually, we have it in here that there should not be any profanity in the meeting. I'm just bringing that as a point that if somebody comes in, say that I use profanity in the meeting. Which could happen, as you might have heard it, right? If I use profanity in a meeting, it is a thing that people could come back and say,
Right.
here's Dr. Linder, she was swearing during the meeting, right? Now, hopefully, that's not necessarily captured in our official meeting minutes, right? But that it opens us up to scrutiny of people going in. And so if we did have, if people were looking and saying, what are the actions? How is the board behaving now? Which our HLC accreditors always want to know. If they can go back and see every single meeting if it's on there, so if you take it off,
So may I ask, I did not see specific.
there's nothing in there about record,
The videos will be on there, there's nothing, right?
right?
No.
It's not.
So
Don't put it.
we don't want, I'm suggesting that recordings shouldn't go up on there because of these conflicts with the minutes, which are the official record. Right, and we just,
So I think we should say official minutes are approved and shall be maintained by the office of the president, made available on the college
But
website.
the-
and shall be the official record of
Yes.
discussions and actions taken at these meetings. I think that's that. Whether or not, I mean, we don't have a policy on videos being up, and I agree videos shouldn't necessarily be up forever.
What's your recommendation on those videos? What is the general consensus? How long do you keep?
You know, if you're going to put them up, I would only put them up until the minutes are approved. Once the minutes are approved at the next meeting, that's the record, right?
Right.
And again, it's up also so that you all can look at it and remind yourself, oh, wait, I said this. So that when you get to the meeting, you look at your minutes and say, wait, I did say this, and we can conform that. Now, we need to have recordings because if there's Zoom participation, we definitely need to have it up and things like that, but.
But only until the minutes.
That's a practical recommendation. It's just, again, to maintain a clear record as to what the official record is.
Because in the court of law, you can't use the video anyway.
Well, see, the argument would be that under the best evidence rule, the video is the best
But if
evidence.
it doesn't exist, then-
Well, moreover, from an official capacity, the official actions of the body are captured in the minutes, and that's why that's what I was suggesting.
well, what's consensus? I say after the minutes are approved, we take off the video.
So, and that's not necessarily something that has to go in policy,
No,
but
just
that's.
consensus. So we
I think we got
discuss.
bigger pressing issues than moving.
But
the video
that's,
than that.
that's your recommendation.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily have to have consensus here on it.
It is, I know that you don't think that it's that big of an issue, but given the scrutiny that the board has been under in the past,
That always comes up every year though.
it does,
It
but
does.
it is
Edward
coming.
did it, you're doing it.
Well, it's a reality, I hear about it. at the
Everybody uses
legislature.
that.
Alright, so what I'm gonna say is that this wasn't on the agenda because it's not in the policy.
Right,
So let's,
But
maybe
we
we should
need to
stop this
talk about it just amongst ourselves, so if you wanna go on.
no, I get it, this is not, unless you want to add it to 2400, do you wanna add the
Delete
video?
delete the video after the minutes are recorded.
Have any been deleted?
Yeah, we don't need that, I don't.
I agree.
We deleted
My
any. I
recommendation.
wonder how far they go back. Don't they delete themselves?
They don't.
They don't, they're.
I've never searched.
Go back to 2018.
Gee,
So that's,
18.
really.
Yes,
Yes.
7 years.
And those are published to the website.
Go through to YouTube right now. They're all the way back to 2018.
I mean, they're stored on YouTube.
Gaps.
I-
It's not all of them.
You know, by way of
Not all
example,
of them Are they consistent all the way through?
No, there's especially gaps during 2020 for obvious reasons, but.
by way of example, New Mexico Public Regulation Commission also publishes theirs to YouTube. And I don't know how far back those go, but I don't think they go back more than at least a year, if not shorter than that.
so what do you guys think? Take them down.
Take them down.
And do you want that in policy? Because we need to stick with what we're supposed to talk about here. Okay, so then if it's not gonna be in policy,
I'm neutral, Madam Chair, whatever you guys all go with the majority.
I think
Take them
that's,
down
I think we did, now as long as we have access, and I think, yeah.
to the minutes.
I think it would be good to have a
End of
month
the
or
year,
3 months, you know.
I agree.
From a trustee
I would like, I think 3 months would be.
from the period between the meeting and the official
Yeah.
minutes adoption, I think they're good to have as a reference for you all going into adoption. And so having them up for that is a good period. There's not a.
13 up to.
No, I'm saying the period between the meeting that was
Oh,
recorded
yeah, yeah.
and the next one where they're adopted, that's a good
Okay.
thumbnail. You can keep them up, that's not a part of OMA. We're not putting it in policy is what I understand, so I'm not gonna make any change to this.
Do they then go into an archive?
We don't currently have an archive folder, but if you want us to create one, we can. As part of our system backups and everything else. I do, however, if we're gonna create one though, I would require that in writing also with approval from the lawyer. Say that we can do this. Archival, a little different law, and usually we have to also submit it to the state.
they might want to copy them as well. Right.
It would be subject to open meeting, I mean, to IPRA.
To IPRA, yeah, they certainly
So
could be.
it would be subject to IPRA.
I say no. What do you say? No.
Well, again, we're not voting on anything, so
Okay, so.
some good consensus there. I won't add anything to the policy. The consensus is that we're not adding anything to the policy, but I will add that they are official records. That will be maintained by the president's office,
The minutes.
the minutes.
We're not talking about videos,
Yes, sir.
but for Dr. Linder to have, we're asking her to take off the minutes up and, I mean, the videos, leave them up there for a month and then take them down.
We'd have to do that in a.
Well, until the minutes are approved.
Yeah, we're not making any directives here yet.
Okay, so do we have to put that on the agenda?
Do you want to talk about video recordings of the meeting?
Not really.
I think we table any conversation about this until, and maybe I can give you some better information as to what other laws on retention may apply.
And
Okay, because there are document retention and record retention
we
statutes.
did talk about this in the last training that you gave us.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
2,500, I have another question.
So can I just be clear? I don't know exactly where we went on that. So there's nothing in our policy that says anything about video recordings,
And we don't want it.
right? And, but we don't, we're not, so I'm not taking anything down until further notice though, or
We're not making a decision.
We're not
on that.
making-
We can't make a decision here today.
we're not, well, right, we're not making any decisions today. But what I think Dr. Martinez asked is, should that be an action item?
On the agenda next week.
That's the question.
The agenda's already been written.
No,
We have 72 hours.
Still have.
We're within the 72-hour period.
So we were gonna change the agenda because I am changing the agenda because I'm adding policy number 1600 on board orientation and training for discussion and action. So I am already changing the agenda.
What was that again, board orientation and what?
69.
It's on the first page.
It's the first.
It wasn't on,
On
it's not
1500.
part, it's not part of the.
Yeah, 1600.
So I am, right now, have been directed by the chair to add that to the agenda. Am I adding anything else to the agenda?
I don't know, do you wanna add the thing about videos? Do you guys wanna add it?
Yeah, I guess we need to make a decision, right? So.
Again, it's not a part of board policy.
It's not a part of our policy.
So you don't necessarily, I mean, if it's just an internal, if this is a matter of how the board doesn't necessarily have to wait, no.
Here's the thing, Carlos,
Yeah.
Carlos, the issue right now, she doesn't really need approval to get rid of those videos.
No.
She doesn't, and she's making them out of mobile. What do I tell you?
So do we? It's not a policy.
She doesn't need policy, she doesn't need
We discussed-
Oh,
Doesn't have to be
If
approved.
it's internal records,
You want records of keeping paper, that's
this
this.
isn't, their policy, as far as I read, does not deal with.
So I'm trying to I have tried to be really careful to not change any practice that was happening before I became president. And so the practice has been since 2018 to have the videos on YouTube. So I'm not trying to make a mountain over the molehill. I'm just trying to make sure, because we've been getting a lot of IPRA requests. I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what I can and can't do. I'm not trying to make a mountain.
You want some policy or some guidelines?
I don't,
And that makes
what
sense.
I've tried to do is keep the practice of what we have been doing when I became president. If I'm directed otherwise, then I'm happy to. If I'm given the ability to decide, I can decide and make a decision based on the consensus of the board. I can make a decision.
You gotta go. Yeah, we did. Thank you for your time. And we'll see, I'll get ahold of the chair and I'll let Shannon listen to the chair and then we'll get all the panel. And then we'll go on.
Give her the ability to decide.
So a lot of this is a function of record retention statutes, right?
It's really about,
It's not necessarily a board policy or anything else. The biggest deal for the conversation here is establishing that the minutes are the record. And so if you get an IPRA for a request for a video from 2018 and we have it, we produce it, we're obligated to under IPRA. If we don't have it, we can't produce it. Regardless of whether we have the video or not, the official record is the minutes, and we do maintain those. And so for your standpoint, I think, I don't necessarily know that the board needs to weigh in on whether you take it off or on. It's more of a question of record retention, which I think is within the wheelhouse of the president to maintain the administration of this place. Up to, I think that's what we're at.
Off, I say. So I said, that's just my opinion.
I think that if you're gonna maintain video, that they should be maintained for only the period between the meeting and the adoption of the rules from that, of the minutes from there. The minutes are the records,
I agree.
and it's just for an argument point, you know,
Yeah, I had already said.
Okay, so we agree with what you said.
well, so then there's no changes to this, and there's not gonna be on the agenda then.
Okay, so we're not right, but we are changing to say that it's the official record of this, that there is a change.
Yeah, but no
No
change to add video or discuss
Any
video.
discussion of video.
And if we may, 2,500.
Okay, 2,500, the first, second, third, second to the last bullet says, a member voting against a motion
Yeah.
shall state his or her reasons, which shall be recorded in the minutes if he or she requests at the time of vote. If I vote no, I don't wanna say why I voted no, unless I feel like I should.
So let's change it to a may. Does that work?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
You don't have it, I agree completely.
Is this, but someone like to ask a question about that. Isn't there, I know that on some things that, on some issues, and I don't know Robert's rules by memory. But I thought that in like certain things that I've been involved in, they've said if there's a dissenting vote, you have to say the reason why.
I don't think so.
Well, no, I'm just asking the question because I have been in meetings where they have said that if you, so, and maybe it's, I'm trying to think about, for instance, this is what I'm thinking about. For my animal care and use committee, right? So I used to chair the animal care and use committee for people using animals in research, right? So on that, if I said, if you all were approving a policy for animal care and use, and you didn't agree with the policy, I had to, by law, by the national government, state if trustee Portillo, so she wouldn't be trustee, she would be my faculty member. I had to state any dissenting opinion and the reason on the animal care and use. But I'm happy that we can say may. I'm not saying that was
I
part
think
of it.
they may.
Here's my question. I don't know of any statute that requires it.
Okay, good.
And if you're talking Robert's rules, again, we adopt them, but it doesn't control. So I don't know. I'm happy to look into it.
I'm happy to change it to May.
But
Yeah.
I'm happy to change it to May.
Okay, then change it to May.
Yeah.
So right here, instead of Dawn, we're gonna be May. May be recorded. So.
Or July.
Yeah. A member voting against the motion shall
no, it should say may.
may.
State his or her reasons which shall be recorded in the minutes if he or she requests. The shall on the second one states.
Okay, may on the first.
So I guess I don't assume that when you're voting no, you haven't already discussed it. Right? And that's maybe the distinction there. When you make a motion, as it says, then you open it for discussion. And if you're opposed to it, you're probably gonna discuss those reasons during that portion.
Or not,
Or not. And you may vote no.
2,700. The first part says.
2,700 is another. Outside.
Oh, okay, it's not.
So I'm sorry, but I'm more than happy. This is the way for us to expand this. We want to go into the whole thing. I just wanted to focus on open meetings.
The only thing I wanna know is the first part. It's not clear.
Oh, that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier. Okay, we could talk about that. It's members of the board speaking individually, don't speak on behalf of the board. Right, and so I kind of talked about that. It is outside of the scope that we're talking about today, but I'm happy to bring that up or discuss that further at a
Okay.
different meeting.
Then you can do that. And then, for Dr. Linder, 2,800 board travel.
That's outside.
Says, I know, but
I don't have a copy of that right now.
Okay, well, then we'll continue with policies 2,700. through 3,000.
Okay, so what I'm gonna
We
say,
need to add those to the agenda for the meeting on.
No, I think we already have enough on our
Okay,
plate for.
I'm just trying to make sure that I. if we-
what I'm gonna suggest is that president or chair. Make a list of what you want me to go through and I'll just start making those revisions and we can get it back to you and we can set up another thing like this.
Okay.
For the next one, okay?
We don't
Because again,
really
you,
need
you
it.
talk to me directly.
So wait
We
a
don't
second,
really need another.
2600
Okay.
is on the agenda. Public policy, public access.
Yeah, but,
Right,
but I'm not talking
Okay,
about.
but there's no changes to 2600,
No,
right? Okay.
No, we're through those provisions, right? And we don't have to have another work session, but if you want me to look at those and do
Yeah.
stuff, you talk to me.
yeah, okay. So now. Report from attendees.
HLC,
And I have my piece here, but I have to make a copy.
well, let me just say thank you all for having
Thank
me.
you, Carl.
I'm gonna take off that, that's like me to wait
Thank
around.
you. Thank
All right, yeah, have a good day.
Have a safe trip. You better leave before Mark comes back.
Where should we find you, the bar, or you lunch?
He's waiting for you. Buy him a steak.
Go this way.
Showing pictures.
No, this is sensation.
Looks interesting,
Public.
you're reporting here what you heard. But the two people that refused to, it's just been up here.
True.
I mean, it doesn't matter, but they, I wish it would have been.
So that I think that Dr. Senna has a good point.
Yes, so do I.
Because I've been in many times.
Yeah, well,
So
you're
do you
gonna,
wanna add report out to the agenda?
yeah,
Let's do that. Instead of
that
having it
way-
today, they have to hear it on Thursday.
Yeah.
that way they can let time.
Can't make it fine, but that doesn't make sense.
But let me see the record, how they won't leave. And I'm actually just ready to get it over with, I just keep prolonging it, prolonging it, prolonging it, even if you're not only looking at it. Dragging until no.
I'm just asking, you can do whatever you want, you can do whatever you want.
I'm just saying, get it over with. That's what we.
Why don't we do it right after board of trustees updates?
No, I think we just need to do it today.
No, you will.
No, but it's not,
It-
everybody in this room is not the people that need to hear it.
That's right.
I mean, you need to hear it, but
We were all there together.
It's just that we keep prolonging it.
No, I think we need to add it to the agenda right after 7.
Okay, 5 minutes then,
Yeah, 5 minutes,
3 minutes,
3 minutes.
each,
that's it.
okay.
okay, can I put it under
I
item
can 5 minutes each.
Because it's
I
the
can
board.
5
Can I
minutes.
put it under
Yeah.
Can I put it under B? On 7B, or do you want me to put it at
I want 7B.
7B?
Yeah.
HLC.
I'm trying to refreshing and then I found it, here we go, yeah.
Yeah, but. You don't want it.
I know we don't wanna do it, but we have to.
At our age, we just.
And especially when we already know how much we spent. Did you hear that one?
Yeah. Yeah, yep.
We already know how much we spent, so
So actually, he was surprised that it was so little.
I know.
Shut.
And this is.
Gonna have a problem.
Well, we better not.
Good, anyway,
Where are you gonna put it on the agenda?
Yeah, we're gonna put it here, 7B. I did, but.
yeah, we gotta close the meeting.
Said it was public. Huh? Very. Oh, keep it out of there.
Sure. You're moving from your.
I second it.
Dr. Martinez, did you hear City Madrano?
No, I didn't.
You're moving for adjournment?
Yes. I said,
when's the next meeting?
Yeah, the announcement of the next meeting.
okay, wait, okay. We are going to move reports from attendees at the meeting, discussion only, to the agenda for August, whatever, August. August 12th. Tuesday, August 12th. Okay, announcement on date, time and location, Tuesday, August 12th. and Tuesday, September 9th. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion, dude.
Rolando, and a second. Rosalie, the R's have it. The R's have.
Take roll call, Amanda, thank you, Amanda. Where the R?
Okay, Amanda, roll call.
Okay,
You're not an R, but that's okay.
Madam Chair Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair Luis Martinez.
Yes.
Secretary Marcia Munguez. Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Okay, let me show you.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Yeah.
Trustee Rosa Ortega.
Yeah. I was gonna sit on voices.
Yeah, this is- This
I
is.
got it, wrong numbers, how to stay, you know, it's. So-
The yeah, you did. And I. Okay, let me see. This is under the single worst time was able to get came from.
Why are you going?
And he was supposed to.
Oh, I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show you. This is the three of us when we went to Seattle.
And if you have training, that's a good.
Was, oh, no, so I was asking, oh, he, this, I lost his man. First he said LCC, but then they were all, she was sitting down here, so he didn't have that. To see if it was equitable and everything. I got mad at it, it's in the very class, and it was getting to the hotel. The other side. And look at the part, Rosalie, that says $875, remember that it's not a. Did you listen to this point? They paid us the deposit, we didn't roll, and we got a.
There was a.